Imagine standing on the red earth outside Ouagadougou before sunrise. In front of you, the land seems endless. Then the silence breaks. Bulldozers move forward. Dump trucks carry soil. Survey teams mark the ground. What was once only a line on a government plan is becoming the largest road construction site Burkina Faso has ever seen. This is the Ouagadougou to Bobo Dioulasso Expressway, a 332 km highway designed to connect the political capital with the economic capital. It is not simply a wider version of an old road. The plan calls for 8 traffic lanes, 4 in each direction, across a roadway reported to be about 42.5 meters wide. It also includes 9 major interchanges, 12 bridges, 259 culverts, rest areas, toll stations, and the supporting structures needed to keep people and goods moving safely. But the real question is not only how large this project is. The deeper question is why Burkina Faso has chosen to build it now and why so many Africans are watching. If you value serious stories about the projects reshaping Africa, subscribe to the channel and stay with us. By the end of this report, you will understand why this highway is being described not only as a transportation project, but as a test of national confidence. Do not forget to share your thoughts and tell us where you are watching from. Every comment helps carry Africa's development story beyond borders and gives people a reason to look closely at what is happening on the ground. Ouagadougou is the center of government administration and one of country's largest consumer markets. Bobo Dioulasso is a major center of trade, agriculture, industry, and transport in western Burkina Faso. Between them lie important communities and commercial points such as Koudougou, Boromo, and Houndé. Together, these places form one of the most important economic corridors in the country. For decades, movement along this route has depended on a conventional national road serving passenger cars, buses, motorcycles, and heavy trucks. As traffic grows, every delay has a cost. A truck carrying food loses time. A trader pays more for fuel. A farmer risks seeing fresh produce spoil before it reaches a larger market. A family spends more hours on the road. The new expressway is intended to change that equation with separated directions of travel, controlled access, modern interchanges, and a stronger road foundation. The corridor is expected to support faster and more reliable movement. The bridges and culverts are not minor details. They will help carry the road across difficult ground and move rainwater away from the foundation. Without that drainage, even a beautiful surface can crack and fail. This is why the project matters. It is a plan for speed, but also for durability. It is a road between two cities, but also a possible backbone for trade, agriculture, logistics, and future regional connections. Still, a design on paper proves nothing. The true test begins when engineers divide 332 kilometers into working sections, move machines into position, clear the route, and start building the ground beneath the highway. That is where this story now turns. The first construction machines arrived long before most people understood the true scale of the Ouagadougou to Bobo Dioulasso Expressway. From a distance, it looked like an ordinary road project. Bulldozers cleared vegetation, excavators moved earth, and dump trucks traveled back and forth across the dusty landscape. But every machine was part of a carefully coordinated operation designed to transform a 332-kilometer corridor into Burkina Faso's first modern expressway. Unlike upgrading an existing highway, this project starts almost entirely from the ground up. Before engineers can think about laying pavement, they must first prepare the land to support a structure expected to serve traffic for decades. That process begins with clearing the right-of-way. Survey teams first establish the exact route using engineering measurements. Once the alignment is confirmed, bulldozers remove trees, shrubs, and other obstacles, while heavy equipment extracts routes that could weaken the future road foundation. According to project updates, more than 230 kilometers of the corridor completed this initial clearing stage within a relatively short period after construction began. For many Burkinabes, this was the first visible proof that the project had moved beyond official announcements. However, experienced engineers know that clearing the land is only the beginning. Once the corridor is open, earthworks become the main priority. Excavators cut through high ground, while dump trucks transport thousands of tons of soil to lower sections that require embankments. Layer by layer, the ground is shaped into the precise elevation specified in the design. Rollers then compact each layer until it reaches strict engineering standards. This stage is essential because the foundation determines the future durability of the highway. A smooth asphalt surface may impress visitors on opening day, but if the layers beneath are unstable, cracks and deformation can appear after years of heavy traffic. That is why engineers often compare the road foundation to the foundation of a house. It cannot be seen after construction, yet it supports everything built above it. At the same time, other teams focus on drainage, culverts, drainage channels, and water management structures are installed to move rainwater away from the roadway. During the rainy season, effective drainage protects the foundation from erosion and helps extend the lifespan of the highway. Managing such a massive project requires careful organization. Instead of treating the expressway as one continuous construction site, engineers divide it into multiple work sections. Each section has its own survey teams, equipment operators, quality inspectors, maintenance crews, and project managers. This allows different phases of construction to take place simultaneously. While one section is still clearing vegetation, another may already be shaping embankments, and a third may be preparing the road base. This coordinated approach explains why construction activity appears across many locations at the same time. It also demonstrates that the transformation from a technical drawing into one of Burkina Faso's largest infrastructure projects is being carried out through careful planning, disciplined engineering, and thousands of individual tasks working toward one common objective. One of the questions asked most often about the Ouagadougou to Bobo Dioulasso Expressway is surprisingly simple. How has such a massive project advanced so quickly? The answer is not a single decision or a single machine. It is the result of planning, organization, continuous field operations, and cooperation between engineers, local authorities, and nearby communities. From the earliest days of construction, different teams were assigned specific responsibilities so that work could continue across multiple sections of the corridor at the same time, instead of waiting for one phase to finish before another could begin. Project updates have reported that more than 230 kilometers of the right of way were cleared during the early stage of construction. That achievement attracted attention throughout Africa because it demonstrated visible progress within only a short period after the official launch. For many observers, the images of long cleared corridors stretching across the countryside became proof that the project had moved beyond promises and entered full-scale implementation. Another factor behind the pace is the division of labor. Survey teams, equipment operators, maintenance crews, quality inspectors, and environmental specialists all perform different tasks simultaneously. While one group prepares the ground, another monitors measurements, another services heavy equipment, and another evaluates whether each completed section satisfies engineering requirements before additional work begins. Community cooperation has also played an important role. Project representatives have publicly thanked traditional leaders, local authorities, and residents for helping facilitate access to construction areas and supporting land clearing activities. Such cooperation reduces delays that often affect large infrastructure projects and allows construction teams to maintain momentum. However, fast progress should not be confused with project completion. The most demanding phases still lie ahead: building bridges, installing drainage systems, compacting road foundations, preparing base layers, and laying the final pavement require far greater technical precision than simply removing vegetation. Every layer must meet strict quality standards because heavy freight traffic will eventually place enormous pressure on the finished highway. Weather presents another major challenge. During the rainy season, excessive moisture can interrupt earthworks, slow material transport, and affect soil compaction. Engineers must carefully schedule activities so that completed sections remain protected from erosion. While work continues elsewhere, material supply is equally important. A project stretching over 332 kilometers requires enormous quantities of soil, stone, cement, steel, fuel, and spare parts. Any disruption in the supply chain can affect construction schedules across several work zones at once. For these reasons, experienced engineers often measure success differently from the general public. Many people focus on the number of kilometers already cleared. Engineers focus on the strength of the foundation hidden beneath the surface. They know that the true quality of the expressway will not be judged when the ribbon is cut, but after years of carrying thousands of vehicles safely across Burkina Faso. The impressive speed seen so far has created optimism, but the next stages will determine whether that early momentum can be transformed into a durable transportation corridor capable of supporting the country's economic ambitions for decades to come. Every major infrastructure project reflects the priorities of the government that builds it. In Burkina Faso, the Ouagadougou to Bobo Dioulasso Expressway has become more than a transportation corridor. It has become one of the clearest examples of how Captain Ibrahim Traoré wants to reshape the country's long-term development strategy. For decades, many infrastructure projects in Burkina Faso focused on maintaining existing roads or repairing damaged sections. While these efforts were necessary, they often solved immediate problems without fundamentally changing the country's transportation network. The current expressway represents a different approach. Rather than simply improving an old route, it introduces a completely new standard of road infrastructure designed to support future economic growth. From the beginning of his administration, Ibrahim Traoré repeatedly emphasized that transportation infrastructure should be treated as a strategic investment rather than a routine public works program. Better roads mean more than faster travel. They create stronger links between agricultural regions, industrial centers, commercial markets, and government institutions. In his broader vision, improving connectivity is essential for strengthening national development and reducing long-term economic constraints. The decision to launch the country's first modern expressway also carries symbolic importance, connecting Ouagadougou, the political capital, with Bobo Dioulasso, the economic capital, sends a clear message about national integration. Instead of allowing regional development to remain uneven, the government aims to strengthen the relationship between the country's largest economic centers while encouraging investment in the communities located between them. Supporters of Ibrahim Traoré often describe the project as an example of self-reliance. The emphasis on mobilizing domestic resources, expanding local technical capacity, and involving Burkinabe workers has become an important part of the project's public image. For many citizens, seeing local engineers, equipment operators, and construction teams working across the corridor creates a sense of national ownership that extends beyond the highway itself. However, separating symbolism from measurable results remains important. A successful infrastructure project is not judged only by impressive construction images or political speeches. Its real value depends on whether it delivers lasting benefits after completion. The highway must withstand years of heavy traffic, reduce transportation costs, improve commercial efficiency, and encourage new investment if it is to fulfill the expectations surrounding it. This is why many economists argue that infrastructure should be viewed as a foundation rather than a final achievement. Roads alone do not create economic growth. They create opportunities for businesses, manufacturers, farmers, transport companies, and investors to expand their activities more efficiently. Whether those opportunities are fully realized depends on future economic policies, private investment, and continued maintenance of the transportation network. For Ibrahim Traoré, the expressway therefore represents both an opportunity and a responsibility. If completed successfully, it could become a lasting example of how strategic infrastructure supports national development. If quality, transparency, or long-term maintenance fall short, the project will face much closer scrutiny than ordinary public works because of the high expectations attached to it. The future reputation of both the highway and the broader development strategy will ultimately be determined not by today's construction progress, but by the benefits that future generations experience every time they travel this road. As construction continue across Burkina Faso, the Ouagadougou to Bobo, Dioulasso Expressway has attracted attention far beyond the country's borders. Supporters describe it as a symbol of African self-confidence and long-term planning. Critics, however, have raised questions about financing, governance, transparency, and whether such an ambitious project can ultimately achieve everything its supporters expect. Understanding both perspectives is essential for evaluating the project fairly. One of the most common concerns centers on cost. Burkina Faso remains one of the world's lower income countries while also facing significant security challenges. Some international observers argue that building an expressway of this scale could place considerable pressure on public finances. Others question whether long-term maintenance costs have been fully considered, noting that modern highways require continuous investment long after construction is complete. These concerns deserve careful attention because every major infrastructure project must eventually prove that its economic benefits justify its costs. At the same time, the project has already moved well beyond the planning stage. Hundreds of kilometers have entered active construction, large-scale earthworks are underway, and government funding has supported the initial phases. The remaining question is, therefore, no longer whether construction has begun, but whether the project can be completed efficiently and maintained successfully for decades. Another area of debate involves governance, because Captain Ibrahim Traoré came to power through a military transition. Some Western governments and political analysts argue that infrastructure achievements should not be viewed separately from broader discussions about democratic institutions and constitutional governance. Others worry that highly visible projects may strengthen political narratives before their long-term results can be fully evaluated. Yet it is equally important to separate political opinions from engineering performance. A highway should ultimately be judged by measurable outcomes such as construction quality, safety, durability, economic impact, and public benefit. Political debates may continue, but the pavement itself will eventually provide objective evidence of whether the investment achieved its intended goals. Transparency has also become part of the international discussion. Many analysts encourage continued publication of technical progress reports, financial information, and independent quality assessments. Greater openness would strengthen public confidence while allowing both supporters and critics to evaluate the project using reliable evidence rather than speculation. Perhaps the most valuable lesson extends beyond Burkina Faso itself. Across Africa, many countries face similar questions about transportation, logistics, and economic integration. The greatest contribution of this expressway may not simply be the road it creates, but the conversation it encourages. It reminds governments that ambitious infrastructure requires more than political vision. It demands sound engineering, disciplined management, financial responsibility, and long-term maintenance. If the Ouagadougou to Bobo Dioulasso Expressway ultimately delivers those results, it may become more than Burkina Faso's first modern expressway. It could serve as an example that future African infrastructure projects are best measured not by promises or political slogans, but by the lasting improvements they bring to people's daily lives. The true importance of the Ouagadougou to Bobo Dioulasso Expressway will not be measured on the day the final section opens to traffic. Its real significance will emerge over the years that follow, when businesses, farmers, transport companies, and ordinary families begin experiencing the practical benefits of a faster and more reliable transportation network. For freight operators, every hour saved on the road can reduce fuel consumption, vehicle wear, and delivery costs. More predictable travel times allow transport companies to schedule additional trips, improve customer service, and move goods more efficiently between Burkina Faso's two largest urban centers. Lower logistics costs can strengthen supply chains and make locally produced goods more competitive within the national market. Farmers may also benefit if agricultural products reach processing centers and urban markets more quickly. Fresh produce, livestock products, and other time-sensitive goods often lose value when transportation is slow or unreliable. Better road infrastructure creates opportunities to reduce these losses while expanding access to larger consumer markets. Although a highway alone cannot transform agriculture, it can become an important link connecting producers with buyers more efficiently. The project may also encourage private investment along the corridor. There's service stations, warehouses, distribution centers, maintenance facilities, hotels, restaurants, and commercial businesses often develop around major transportation routes. Communities located near interchanges may experience new economic activity as traffic increases. However, these opportunities will depend on sound urban planning, supportive business policies, and continued investment beyond the highway itself. This highlights an important reality. Roads do not automatically create prosperity. They create conditions that allow economic growth to become more achievable. Governments must still improve education, strengthen institutions, support private enterprise, expand energy infrastructure, and encourage entrepreneurship if transportation investments are to deliver their full potential. There is also an important lesson for other African countries. Large infrastructure projects should not be viewed simply as symbols of national pride. Their greatest value lies in their ability to improve daily life over many years. Successful projects require careful planning, transparent financing, skilled engineers, reliable maintenance, and realistic long-term management. Political enthusiasm may launch construction, but technical excellence is what preserves public confidence. Burkina Faso's first modern expressway therefore represents more than a single transportation corridor. It demonstrates the importance of thinking beyond immediate challenges and investing in infrastructure that can support future generations. Whether other African nations choose similar paths will depend on their own priorities, resources, and development strategies. But the principle remains universal. Strong infrastructure creates stronger opportunities. As construction continues, many questions remain unanswered. Final completion dates, long-term operating costs, maintenance programs, and measurable economic impacts will only become clear with time. Yet one conclusion is already evident. The conversation surrounding this expressway has expanded beyond engineering. It has become a discussion about national ambition, regional connectivity, economic transformation, and the future direction of African development. Perhaps that is the project's greatest achievement so far. Long before every kilometer is paved, it has already encouraged millions of people to imagine what their countries might accomplish when long-term planning, technical expertise, and determined execution come together in pursuit of a common national goal. As the final pieces of this story come together, one truth becomes increasingly clear. The Ouagadougou to Bobo Dioulasso Expressway is about far more than concrete, asphalt, and heavy machinery. It represents a moment when a country chose to invest in a vision of its own future and began turning that vision into something people could see with their own eyes. Only time will determine whether this ambitious project fulfills every expectation placed upon it. Engineers must still complete the remaining earthworks, bridges, drainage systems, road foundations, and pavement. Construction teams will continue facing challenges involving weather, logistics, equipment maintenance, financing, and quality control. Even after the highway opens, its long-term success will depend on regular maintenance, responsible management, and the ability to support the growing transportation demands of Burkina Faso. History has shown that impressive infrastructure alone does not guarantee lasting prosperity. Roads create opportunities, but governments, businesses, farmers, and communities must work together to transform those opportunities into sustained economic growth. New investment, efficient logistics, productive industries, and sound public policies will all play important roles in determining whether this expressway becomes the backbone of a stronger national economy. Yet there is another reason why this project has attracted so much attention across Africa. It has encouraged people to ask a larger question. What becomes possible when a nation decides to pursue long-term infrastructure despite limited resources and significant challenges. Regardless of political opinion, that question deserves thoughtful discussion, because every developing country must eventually decide how to balance today's urgent needs with tomorrow's ambitions. Supporters view the expressway as evidence that Burkina Faso is building greater confidence in its own capabilities. Critics continue to argue that long-term success must be demonstrated through transparency, financial sustainability, and measurable economic results. Both perspectives remind us that the real verdict will not be delivered during construction, but through decades of public use and practical performance. For now, the red earth stretching between Ouagadougou and Bobo Dioulasso continues to change day by day. Survey markers become embankments. Embankments become road foundations. Foundations will eventually become a highway, carrying families, workers, traders, tourists, and businesses across one of the country's most important corridors. What is today a construction site may tomorrow become an essential part of everyday life. What do you think? Could this expressway become the project that changes Burkina Faso's transportation network for generations? Or do you believe its greatest challenges still lie ahead? Share your thoughts in the comments, because your perspective adds value to this important discussion. If you enjoy balanced reporting on Africa's transformation, please subscribe and join us for future stories exploring Pan-African ideas, Burkina Faso, Africa New, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the African Union, Pan-Africanism, and the continuing development journey of Ibrahim Traoré. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you again in our next report. Thank you for being here and watching our video. Every piece of content on this channel is carefully researched, written, edited, and reviewed by our team to ensure it reflects our own work and editorial approach. We do not rely on automated mass production. Each video presents our perspective on current events related to President Ibrahim Traoré and developments across Africa.